I am so sad this mystery mold is broken, but it is so cute. That means we're only going to get limited casts from this piece, but let's have a look at what it is. Hello, my name is Shelby and I'm a potter. I found this bulk lot of slip casting molds and one by one I'm pouring them up to reveal whatever is inside and then finish it into an artwork. This is the Mystery Mold series, so let's see what's in today's episode. This is mold 6. I could only pour up one of the 2 holes due to there being a missing part of plaster, meaning that the slip would just run straight through, so that was a bit of a shame. I opened it up to reveal these really cool cow napkin rings, but the issue was it was so tricky to get out, and before I get a bunch of people being like, let it dry for a bit longer, it is dry. It's been drying for 24 hours. The issue here is that the clay has shrunk, and as it shrinks it actually contracts, which means it has contracted in around that ring, so it made it super tricky to get out. I think that if I left it any longer in this, it would have got stuck around that ring and started to crack. So I just got it out in time. There was a look at the mold. As you can see, it's a cow napkin ring holder, and you can see the missing part of that cow. It is pretty sad. I think that these are really cute pieces, but that means that we kind of have limited uses of this piece. The break means that we can only pour one at a time, so it's going to take a really long time to make a whole dinnerware setting, because most dinnerware settings are generally 4 and then they go up to 6, 8, 12. So to get that many pieces we'd have to pour the single one a lot of times to get that far. Napkin rings are actually such a weird thing, but kind of cool in a way. Like, I don't go out of my way and be like, I want a little ceramic piece that will hold my napkin in place on the table. Maybe it's a cultural thing or generational thing or something maybe you were raised with, but it's kind of cute to have this little friend at the table that minds your napkin whilst you eat or when you're ready to use it. But it is kind of useless in a way. It is a fun way to dress up a table, I will give you that. I like the idea of choosing a seat based on what color napkin ring is at the setting. Like, I'd go, I want the orange cow. I am doing some bright colored cow patches, and I also did some silly ones later in the video, but I did them based on this idea of them all being a different color so that you know which one is yours. And I did that unintentionally before I looked up why napkin rings exist and what the purpose was. I also kind of thought it was a very interesting choice to shape a napkin ring as a cow, just because often when you sit down to eat, you may be eating a certain animal product. I was talking about this with my studio assistant, who I'm going to mention is vegan, by the way, and came out with, you should add some little T-bone steaks on them because that is what you would be eating. And I looked at her in total disbelief that this was coming out of her mouth, but we both laughed and thought it could be kind of funny, a little way to comment on the fact that you were staring at this cute little cow whilst you you know what I'm getting at. Anyway, from there the idea evolved to do a set of 4 various cow products. So I did a cow with the little steaks as suggested, and then I did a cow with burgers, one with milkshakes, and another one with ice creams. I was actually really not liking a couple of these. I don't know, the whole concept was kind of meant to be just like a little commentary or a bit of a funny little pun in a way, I guess. And I don't know, what I was thinking whilst I was painting these, because looking back at this footage, they look so good. I don't know why I was doubting them, but when I got them out of the kiln, they really came to life, as always. You would think that there would be no more surprises given I do this so often, but here we are, still having surprises with designs. I thought the milkshake one was going to be my least favorite, and it actually ended up being one of my absolute favorites. The colors were just so creamy and delicious. I ended up doing matching horns and little hair and like their little snout as similar colors that were put into the design. It really just brought it to life. Now, I wanted to come back to that point about napkin rings being a strange item to own. I don't think it was strange when these molds were made, but I feel like it is strange now. I don't even really own napkins, but I'm not one to host a grand dinner party either. I'm going to get a bunch of people correcting me, so I'm not a napkin ring user. This is just from what I understand its first purpose being, because I always like to think about like, why was this made? Like, what was the intention? Sometimes they can just exist, but sometimes they do have a purpose. The idea of a napkin ring is to remember which napkin is yours and to kind of like recycle it. So you would put it out and and place it on your lap, and then place it back into the napkin ring if you didn't dirty your napkin, to reuse again for another meal time. The ring was to mark your place and which napkin was yours, and then if you dirtied the napkin, it wouldn't go back in the ring. You would like wash it, obviously. This was, I guess, like an etiquette of the rings and why they were made, kind of like wine glass charms, if you have seen those, like a little charm on a different color to tell which one was yours. And when you have friends over and you're all drinking the same thing from the same style glasses, you can just tell instantly which one's yours. Today, I think they've kind of become a bit more of a decorative thing to style a table. I just feel like we've gotten to a point that we like no longer need napkin rings, and these are really purely for decoration purposes now. I don't think I have ever been to a friend's house function or even a restaurant where they've had napkin rings in use. I have heard of them being great heirlooms that are passed down from generations, even seasonal ones like Christmas themed ones. Have you ever gotten a napkin ring, or have you ever had one at a table setting, or have an heirloom one? I would like to know, so let me know in the comments how you use it and how and where it was placed. With this piece, it actually made me reflect about what things we often think are a really great trending idea or an innovative idea to make our lives easier, but they actually end up becoming unnecessary as new inventions kind of phase them out. And I feel like napkin rings are one of those things. We don't really need them. They're a lot of fun, but we could combat knowing what napkin is for who by having different colored napkins, maybe having a letter on each corner or even a little symbol. It wouldn't be hard to make something without inventing a whole other object to have to store, you know what I mean? I love pottery, and I just do find these are kind of useless. Gosh, these cow napkin rings do not deserve this slander. They are so cute. But is there another invention you could think of that has been phased out by new trends or innovations that you think might become strange for future generations like these napkin rings? Anyway, let's get back to the reveal. Here is the finished results of all of these cuties. They are glorious. I am so happy with how these turned out. As I said, I was feeling a bit doubtful about the food designs initially, but they're my favorite. I love the colorful cows too. These turned out better than I expected them to. It really helped having such a large flat area to paint on. I feel like you could just do like a nice glaze color on these as well. I mean, the shape was a little bit tricky to work around. Like I didn't paint in the internal ring where the napkin sits because I figure you're not going to see that anyway when they're in use. Aside from that, you could do so much. A lot of pieces you can do so much, but you could play around with so many different patterns on these. Polka dots, stars. From what I read about the design of napkin rings is that they actually go on a certain side of your plate too, and I would assume that these would go on, actually no, it wouldn't matter. It would not matter. I was just gonna say I would assume that they would go on the right side just because I wouldn't want its butt facing me. But it wouldn't matter what side it was on, because it would be if you flipped it around. I am such an idiot. I was like, you know, I don't want to look at its butt whilst I'm eating, but it wouldn't matter. You just either put it on the left or the right. You just lift it up. You don't have to spin it around. Oh my gosh, Shelby. I do actually have napkins. I said I don't have napkins and I lied. I have 2 napkins from a dinner function I did at the craft lab that I did, and the napkins fit perfectly inside. You could mix and match. You could get matching plates to match the napkin rings as well, which I played around with. It could be so cool. Like you could have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I do still stand by. I think they're kind of useless, but they're a cute kind of useless. I'm sure a lot of us feel that way. I'm a cute kind of useless. Anyway, thank you so much for watching another mystery mold reveal. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and here is your sneak peek for next week.